have 3 losses by now.
I don't know about that.
They are not that good.
Put Florida State in there, I would say yes to that, what you just said.
Return by Caleb Downs, and he finds a seam. He makes the punter look silly. Caleb Downs, show him what you got. Touchdown, Bama.
5-minute drive now for UTEP. And they will keep it on the ground. Awatt just gets pile-driven by Stutzman.
Really haven't even tried from the shotgun. That throw's
Intercepted. Pierce down the sideline. Touchdown.
Claiborne, the sophomore, has 1 score so far this season. Griffiths will buy a little bit of time. Falling down, lost the football. Play is still live. And recovered by the Monarchs. Lamarian James will take it the other way for the ODU touchdown.
Welcome back to Devy IDP Grind. I'm your host, Hollywood Titan. Unfortunately, my co-host, Justice, is not able to be with us tonight, but I do have a special guest joining us. He's a content creator for the Pokes News. He can be found on X at Pokes_news. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, I know we've been trying to do it for a couple of days, and I had to work late last night, so we had to move it to today. So sorry about the delay there, but you are going to be our insider on all things Wyoming football on defense. Before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got interested in sports media journalism, and how long you've been covering Wyoming athletics.
Yeah, so I've been very passionate about journalism and writing since I took a mass media class in high school. Worked with the student newspaper. Really was an interesting field for me. I took some classes in college as well. I became very good at researching and writing. Something I've always really loved to do, and I wanted to correlate that into something that I could do as a career. And so I actually work in the automotive industry. However, I was able to start pokesnews.com just based off of writings that I had done previously to starting it, and then was able to become, offer content that maybe other news outlets weren't covering and stories that other news outlets weren't covering. And so I was able to start that about 2023, and I've been going ever since.
Awesome. So for those that's not familiar with Wyoming, how would you describe their defensive style or scheme?
Yeah, so they run a 4-2-5 look to the game. The four defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs, 2 corners, 2 safeties, 1 hybrid nickel back. Really an aggressive style of defense. Typically, Wyoming, we have this term called cowboy tough. So that's it's not just a saying on a shirt. It's certainly something that is reflected in the play style as well. More of a blue collar type, tough, strong, physical, get it done type of defense. And it's been historically like that for Wyoming for a long time.
Awesome. With Aaron Bowl entering his second year as your defensive coordinator, what are the expectations for him and this defense as a whole in 2025?
Yeah, so I interviewed him last week. One of the questions I asked him was, what are your expectations and goals this year? And he told me that he wants to play extremely hard, limit explosive plays, and have a lot of physicality. I know one of the things that Coach Savell has talked about was the number of missed tackles. They've been really a lot of data-driven information that they're using to focus on where they need to implement further improvements. And so it sounds like that's really what they're going after, just from the top down, all the way to, from head coach Jay Savell down to Aaron Bull, and then down from there. So they're really just trying to where their weaknesses were last year and really improve from there and going into his second year.
Awesome. So two of your top pass rushers, Braden Siders and Devon Harris, have moved on. Who do you see stepping into the roles? Is it Chisholm Afani, who was brought in through the portal from FAU, and to pair with Tice Westland? How big of an impact do you see those two having, or is there somebody behind those that you think is ready to step up?
Yeah, so I did want to point out we also lost Sebastian Harsh to North Carolina State. He came out of the last year for Wyoming with 40 tackles. He went in the transfer portal. Really wish him the best. He's a great young man. I interviewed him several times. We also lost Ethan Day, who was our backup as well. He did have 19 tackles last year. He went to the University of North Texas via the transfer portal as well. On to Tice Westland, though, that kid, really impressed with him. He played six-man football in Nebraska, played under his dad. His dad's a high school teacher and coach as well. Blue collar, strong, tough, brings a lot to the game. Last year, he had 6 starts with 41 tackles and 3 sacks. Really a physical young man. He weighs about 240 pounds. He's a senior. Really excited to see what he does. Behind him, we do have Isaiah Boger as well. At Riverside Junior College last year, he had 48 tackles with 10 sacks, and incredible numbers. Excited to see what he might be able to do as well in a backup role. Give Tice a break every once in a while. And then on the other side, you've got like you talked about, Chisholm Ifani. He's coming. He's got experience. He's transferred. This is his second transfer. He started at, I can't remember what the college was, but then he was at FAU last year. Last year, he had 8 starts, 22 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 4 quarterback hits at FAU. Playing in that division of football, I think it's going to correlate really well with Wyoming, with how the aggressive style of play that we play here. Behind him, we've also got a transfer from the FCS of Weber State. I did an interview with him in the offseason before he came to campus. Really a nice young man as well. He's big. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. Last year, he had 10 starts, 57 tackles, and 4 sacks at Weber State. I think that's going to correlate well. Additionally, coming into the Mountain West Conference, playing for Wyoming also. Did I lose you?
Awesome. So we'll move to your defensive line. Ben Florentine returns as your nose tackle, but you lost Jordan Bernagle. Who else do you see having a larger role than expected along with him?
Yeah, so unfortunately, during the offseason workouts over the summer, we actually lost 2 really, really big keys to this defense. We lost Dante Drake and Caleb Robinson, both during shuttle drills during the offseason, something that Savell announced on the first day of fall camp. Really unfortunate injuries that are really going to cause a lot of that are really going to hurt that defense. But we do have a lot of great people that are going to be stepping up as well. I did want to point out, you talked about Ben Florentine, nose tackle. That guy, I did an interview with him last week, wrote a future story on him as well. There again, blue collar. I keep saying that theme, but that's kind of the theme of this off season coming in and into this season is physicality and violence is the things that Savell is really focusing on, and it's really correlated from the top down in this. Throughout the team, every player I interview talks about it. Ben Florentine has an interesting story. He's one of those COVID kids, didn't get much recruitment. Everybody shut off recruitment. He couldn't even do an official visit. He drove all the way out to Wyoming, 1,000 miles with his family, did a student tour, just to tour the campus. Really a great story. He's really, came as a preferred walk-on, no scholarship offered to him, no welcome to campus party when he showed up, no hotel room with all the little, shirts and jackets and all that stuff. I mean, really just did what he had to do to become a member of this team and wants to be here and wants to play and shows that loyalty, something that, it's really exciting to see that. As far as defensive tackle, right now, we've got Lucas Simsola. He's a sophomore, doesn't have a lot of experience, but I think he's got the size. He's 6'4", 305 pounds. Behind him, we also have Alex Haswell, a product right from Sheridan, Wyoming, right here in Wyoming, 6'5", 230 pounds. He's a redshirt freshman. I will say, Salvell did let us know he is currently injured. He's recovering. They expect him to be back in practice later in August, and he'll probably be able to start playing a game probably mid-September at this point. Salvell, when he talked about it, he did mention that he's got 3 guys, 295 pounds inside, which we haven't had in a while for our team as well. And he talked about Lucas Simsola, Jaden Williams, Ben Florentine. And so, I kind of skipped over my notes here, but also at the other defensive tackle, I predict probably Jaden Williams. He's 6'3", 305 pounds, played in 12 games last year, 28 tackles, has some experience also. We also have Anish Vyas. He's also a transfer in last year at Bucknell. He had 10 starts with 25 tackles, so he can step in as well. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, a little bit lighter than Jaden Williams, but certainly able to contribute if needed.
All right. So we're going to move to linebacker. The loss of Shea Sumino, he had 88 tackles for you a year ago. Connor Shaw, he had 76 for you a year ago. Who do you believe is ready to take that next step and fill their roles? Because that was 2 of your top tacklers from a year ago.
Yeah, when I was researching this, I found that Wyoming actually has 0 returning starters for this position. They also lost Rook Brown to the transfer portal. He went over to Houston. So really interesting spot. I will say when I did research this, that last year the heaviest linebacker was 228 pounds, and this year the lightest linebacker is 230 pounds. So they've really increased the size, and I think that's through the transfer portal. So we've got on the weak side linebacker, we've got Braden Johnson. He's a transfer, came in from Oklahoma Baptist. He has last year he had 8 starts for 71 tackles and 7 tackles for loss. Behind him, a lot of the buzzword everybody's been talking about him is Gary Rutherford. He's a redshirt freshman. He doesn't have a lot of game experience, but he's got a lot of building under the program. He appeared in 4 games, 1 tackle, pretty much just like a special teams guy last year, but I think you might see his name this year for sure. Onto your middle linebacker, I'm really excited about this guy. I interviewed him on Monday. His name is Ethan Stolsatz. He's a 6'4", 240-pound linebacker. He had 9 starts last year, 70 tackles, and 2 starts last year, 20 tackles, 1 sack, just in 2 starts at Lindenwood College, and he transferred over to Wyoming. He's got a lot of good size. I'm really excited about him. He told me that he was really under-recruited. He said he was, not the right size for linebacker, not the right size for safety, but he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think you're going to see a lot of things out of him after interviewing him. Behind him, you also have a guy that we redshirted last year. His name's Evan Eller. He's a transfer from Virginia Military Academy. And so you're going to see him. They were able to preserve his eligibility so he could play this year. I think you're going to see a lot of great things out of him. He's 6 foot, 230 pounds. Moving on to your nickel position, we've got Desmond Hearns. He's a transfer as well. We've got a lot of transfers this year. Really exciting to see. He came from Southern Illinois. Last year he had 9 starts, 61 tackles, and 2 interceptions. So exciting to see that. We need another ball hawk because our guy last year was Rook Brown, the one that transferred out over to Houston. So we need somebody that can step in and fill that. Another guy that we're really excited about that we got is from North Dakota State University, championship caliber team. He's studied under the leadership of them, so he's bringing that championship caliber, championship attitude to Wyoming. His name's Enoch Sabona. Really excited. He played last year 7 starts. He had 56 tackles and 2 sacks. Really excited to see what he can bring to the program this year. I did interview him. He's got a very unique story as well. He actually is not from the U.S. He was born internationally and came to the United States, and he's very excited to be in Wyoming.
Right. So we moved to the safety position, and it seems like every position we kind of mentioned that you all have lost a lot of starters and key players. You lost a big time in Wyatt Eckler. Also lost Isaac White. Someone in that group that's ready to step up and take their game to the next level this season.
Yeah, this position here is probably one of our freshest positions. We do have some players that have some experience. I want to say, Keeney Parks, he ended up transferring to Houston as well. Kind of ironic that we'd have 2 players that would transfer, Rook Brown on the defense and also Keeney that would show up over at Houston as well during the offseason. Stepping into those roles, we do have Ian Bell. He's 6'1", 191 pound junior. He has 12 games of experience with 6 tackles last year. Sitting behind him as well, we've got Tyson Dean, 5'10", 165 pounds. I think you're going to see he's a freshman. I think he's one of those guys that you're going to see step up to be able to back up and also help out in those situations where, when we're moving guys in and out, when we're playing physical games, fast-paced offense against a fast-paced offense. On the other side, we've got Marquis Grant. He's a redshirt freshman. I talked about there's kind of the least experienced unit on the defense. He's in 4 games last year, special teams role. He did a redshirt last year. We also have Tyrese Boss. He's also in there as well. He had 1 game played last year. He redshirted as well. There's another guy behind them, 3rd string, that I anticipate. I think this guy might even move into 2nd string. His name is BJ Inman. He transferred from Snow Junior College. If you ever get a chance, look up Snow Junior College and check out their alumni list. The people that have moved on to the NFL, it's incredible. It's really interesting to see. It's like football U. It's if you ever get a chance, look that up. But that guy's a transfer. He grew up in Las Vegas, played at Snow Junior College. I think he's another guy with a chip on his shoulder, wants to prove something. I think that's another guy you're going to see as well.
Right. Interesting names. I'm taking note on these. If you had to pick a defensive player to have a breakout season for 2025, who would that be?
I'm going to say Jaden DaCosta. He's a transfer from Portland State. He played in 10 games last year, 36 tackles. I think the other guy that you're going to see is Braden Wilson, the guy from Weber State. Both of these guys transferred from lower level programs, got their chance to come up to the Mountain West, play for University of Wyoming. I think you're going to see some people with chips on their shoulders and ready to make things happen. Can we back up? I think I accidentally read the wrong information for the Wyatt Eckler Isaac White question.
Oh, go ahead. So what it was is at the safety position, you lost a big talent in Wyatt Eckler, and you also lost Isaac White. Is there someone ready to step up and take their game to the next level there in 2025?
Yeah, so we've got strong safety Andrew Johnson. He's born right here in Wyoming, born and raised, played football just down the road, about an hour away over at Cheyenne, Wyoming. His dad's a military veteran. This kid is tough. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. Last year he played 13 games. He had Last year he had 5 starts, 30 tackles. He actually played with a broken hand that they put into a stub, and he played. He's Cowboy tough. This kid's good. There again, we've also got Jaden DeCosta, who we just spoke about, transferring from Portland State. We talked about, his 36 tackles last year, chip on his shoulder. I think he's really, really somebody to look out for. We do have a transfer that came in third string as well that I predict is going to be a third string. Came from Wisconsin. He didn't have any playing time there, but I think that somebody coming from a program like that was recruited there is going to be somebody that's going to be ready to make some stuff happen as well. Over at the free safety, we've got Thomas Jones. He's a redshirt. He redshirted last year. He did redshirted in 23. He did play 9 games last year with 4 tackles, mainly a limited. He appeared in 9 games, limited role. I think you're going to see these guys step up. Another person Savell's talking about behind him is Brooklyn Cheek. He's 6'1". He transferred in from Cal. Another one of those guys from a high caliber program that came into Wyoming. Kind of an interesting thing is Savell talked about he didn't want to bring people in from higher level programs into Wyoming because in the offseason he talked about some of those players come with a feeling that maybe they deserve better. That they're not, that they want to they rule the program or that they're bigger than the program. But he's really done a great job of trying to get the right people that want to play and want to be in Wyoming. So I think we've got some really good transfers that have come in as well.
Are there any younger guys or freshmen that you haven't already talked about that you think will make an impact for this defense this year?
So I did already talk about him. The guy that I'm looking at is Tyson Dean. I wanted to bring him up. I think he's gonna. And his last name it's not spelled like you think. It's like David Echo Nancy is how you spell his last name. Tyson Dean. You won't have to have my tips on how to spell his name because his name's going to be all over your TV screen. You'll see his last name on the back of the jersey. You won't have to ask me how to spell it next time. But I really think that he's going to do a great job.
Is there a 2026 Wyoming recruit or commitment on the defensive side that you're really excited about?
I'm really excited about our defensive lineman that they got out of Las Vegas. His name is, and he's got a Samoan name, and they're very hard to pronounce. I don't know how to say it, but I'll pronounce it the best I can. I'd say Tanuli Mafala Barbosa. I think I did a pretty good job. He's a 3-star recruit out of Las Vegas, 6'2", 242 pounds. I mean, just looking at his picture, I'm intimidated. I think this guy's going to be a really good carry on that defensive line for Wyoming in the future.
Awesome. You had mentioned about, or we had talked about it earlier, about how many players that not only you just lost to graduation or the NFL, but just to the portal itself. That really makes it hard on your team, offense or defense. When you're losing that many players to higher programs, and you mentioned the coach said, we didn't really bring anybody down. We kind of looked at FCS or those divisions. How hard was that for them to be able to fill their role through the portal, bringing players up from those lower levels?
Yeah, I think number one, coach had talked about he said after the last game that they really wanted to recruit from within, so they wanted to keep these players here. So that he really changed the leadership style of how he talks to his players, making sure he talks to them every day. So that's number one. Number two is you're always gonna have, it's kind of the new reality. You're gonna have those players that do leave, and that's good for them if they can do that, then that's great. That's the new reality of what it is. He really talked about how he wants to recruit up, like you kind of mentioned earlier. So he really wants to get those players that are excited to come to this level, excited to come play. excited to be able to show what they've got. And so it's kind of a combination of a lot of things, being able to find those players, find the diamonds in the roughs that are going to be key contributors on the team that want to be in Wyoming. And Wyoming is not an easy place to be. Laramie, Wyoming, they've got 30 below weather. You've got the wind. There's not a big city. It's not a huge city. You can't just go to the, do anything you want at all times. It's kind of rural. So it takes a special kind of person to play for Wyoming, somebody that's focused on football, somebody that's focused that wants to play. But I'll tell you what, the summers are beautiful. I mean, Coach Craig Bull always talked about, he said you recruit a guy from that loves the warm weather and he comes to Wyoming and then they don't want to be there. You've got to find, and he talked about back to that shirt on the shirt, Cowboy Tough. You got to find somebody that's Cowboy Tough that wants to be there.
Right, and that makes sense considering y'all's location, that you want players that are eager and hungry and focused, as to players that, like you said earlier, maybe they feel they're entitled, they should be in a better situation or whatever. But Wyoming has been one of the better universities for quite some time. I mean, I know you've had some players come through there that's gone to the NFL that's really helped you there, but I think it's really important, like you said, to find those players that are eager and focused and hungry and want to be there.
Yeah, when I talked to Ethan Schultz earlier this week, he brought up one of the factors that, he was very interested about Wyoming was the fact that we're like linebacker U for the NFL. We've got Chad Muma that's in the NFL. We've got Logan Wilson starting for the Cincinnati Bengals. Really has made a big impact, played in the Super Bowl. Really, and he's from actually right here in Casper, Wyoming, right where I live. So interesting to see how that success at the next level has brought in some of these guys that really want to play.
Right, and Logan Wilson is definitely a good linebacker. I love watching him play for the Bengals. How does Wyoming approach NIL? I know everybody we talk to, they kind of seem to have different approaches, different ways they attack it. Is that something that Wyoming's really pushing, or they're just kind of letting that come as it goes? As the players come in, they just kind of let that fall into place.
Yeah, so Wyoming's got this. It's the One Wyoming Collective, where fans can donate money to a collective, which goes into a fund, which is then distributed out via players that work with local nonprofits or nonprofits throughout the state of Wyoming. So one example is the Boys and Girls Club. So we had like Shay Sue and Noah, Bia, who was our center. They went and did like a little skit with their teammates and worked with the Boys and Girls Club, did fundraisers, and using their name, image, and likeness, they're making positive impacts throughout our state of Wyoming. But they're also getting paid to do that via that fund. So it's not just a pay-for-play style, like what you might hear some, which isn't supposed to happen. But, in the past, the laws have changed a lot. The laws have changed a lot. So now and I haven't read the full ruling on the House versus the NCAA, but I've kind of familiar with it. There is going to be some pay that's happening from universities direct to students. It's my understanding. But with that, you've got the roster limits, the 105. You've got all different kinds of new rules that I'm not all up to date on. But I do know that Wyoming is actively on it. It is kind of hard when you've got a smaller program, but I will say University of Wyoming is the only 4-year school in the state of Wyoming. But so there's a ton of pride with all the residents of Wyoming. We are a very small, there's only 550,000 people in the state of Wyoming, but we fill our stadium up. It's very passionate. We love our state, the people that live here. There's a lot of people that donate money to the NIL collective as well as to the university. I think that it's a unique approach, but there again, it kind of goes back to finding people that want to be here that aren't looking for that next $100,000 check. They're looking to come here and contribute. And I think that the NIL is rewarding, the people that want to be here. They're looking to come here and contribute. And I think that the NIL is rewarding, the people that want to be here. They're looking to come here and contribute. And I think that the NIL is rewarding, the people that want to be here. They're looking to come here and contribute. And I think that the NIL is rewarding, is going to be rewarding in the future, at least the people that contribute. And so Bill made a comment when I was at Media Days in Vegas about he wishes that there was like a period of time, because he doesn't agree with like paying somebody, and I don't even know what the dollar figure would be, but getting, a recruit that's never played it down for you and giving them like $100,000. And that,
Right.
not that I don't know that Wyoming, I don't know if they do that, what they pay their players, to be honest with you. It's not that transparent, but hopefully someday it is. But so he wants to reward people that make plays, basically, is what he kind of talked about.
That's awesome. So I was while you were speaking there, I was kind of looking at your all's schedule. Want to make any predictions on your all's outlook for the 2025 season?
I think that we've got a really tough non-conference schedule with CU going down to Boulder playing, Coach Prime. We are hosting Utah, which is another really tough program. They used to be in the Mountain West, so it's kind of reminiscent of what they used to be with Alex Smith playing in Laramie, or us going down to Salt Lake City. But they're a really good program. They've put out a lot of great people into the NFL too, and so they've really stepped up and built that program. I went to a game where they played against Cal a long time ago. So it really a unique atmosphere for their fans. They have a great, like I said, they built a great brand there in Salt Lake City. And so it'd be exciting to see them come to Laramie. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a sellout. It's going to be a tough game for Wyoming. However, as far as overall predictions, I do think Wyoming is going to finish a lot better than they did last year. I predict anywhere from 6 to 7 wins. I would be very happy with a 9-win season, but I'm predicting we're going to be bowl eligible and make a bowl game.
Right. Yeah. The home against Utah and the road game against Colorado is back to back. And then for me, just kind of looking at the schedule, I think the second half of y'all's schedule is a little bit easier for y'all to manage and manipulate a little bit. I think it's more in your favor towards the back end of the season, which that can be very helpful, right? Especially if you're having injuries or your season didn't quite get off to the start that you hoped it would. Having a little bit easier schedule down the stretch is definitely helpful to you, especially when you're trying to make a bowl game.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize those non-conference they're tough games, and they can be tough on, like you said, about injuries, and so it's nice to have that conference schedule that's going to be not necessarily easy, but a little bit easier.
Yeah. I think we've covered about everything. Do you want to tell everybody what all you're working on, where they can follow you, where they can find all your work?
Yeah, so you can go to our website. It's pokesnews.com. Encourage everyone to go on there and hit subscribe. You can put your email address in. It'll send you an email with every article that we release. We're not going to send any spam or anything like that. You can go on to on Twitter or X, I guess is what they call it now. It's pokes_news. And then also on Facebook, you can go on there and search for Pokes News as well. You can also find all the links to all those different channels on pokesnews.com. We've got a lot of stuff in the works. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I've got a really big interview with the commissioner that I did that I'm working on writing, talking about the media deal, NIL, pretty much all the big picture stuff for the Mountain West Conference that I did when I was at Media Days. Also have some other stuff about some other key players as well. And I'm just really excited to deliver this content and get this out to our fans.
One more quick question before I let you go. And you've mentioned something there about the conference. Do you see the Mountain West increasing teams at any point? Do you see there any more movement out of your all's conference?
It's so hard to predict those things. When I talked to the Gloria Navarez last year, she wasn't that worried about teams leaving and wasn't, I don't want to misquote her, but wasn't sure that we were going to lose a lot of teams. And then, a year later, here we are. But I did ask her. One of the things that I did ask her about was maybe some schools like FCS jumping up, like for instance North Dakota State, a big contender. There's been a lot of talk about Tarleton State. There's a lot of money there that they're investing in their program. They've got elite facilities there. They've got, the locker room looks better than most NFL teams. And so she said that due to, that they don't anticipate having teams, move up anytime soon, just because of the way that the playoffs are, the bowl tie-ins, everything tied in together. It's hard to be able to make that move up. So that was one of the questions I did ask her. As far as teams moving, I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens with this lawsuit. There's several lawsuits going on. It's in I guess mediation. With some of the schools are upset. Like mainly, I've heard a lot of talk from the Boise media guys about the fees, the exit fees that they have to pay. They don't think they need to pay them, and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's kind of like free agency. It's like the transfer portal for teams.
Right.
So
I would have to imagine though that if North Dakota State, South Dakota, if one of those type of teams were to be interested in moving up, I would have to think that the Mountain West would jump to the front of the list in trying to get them, because I mean geographically it makes sense. It's right there in your all's area. Plus they're quality teams. So I think when you have teams that's kind of dominated the FCS level, if they wanted to make that move, I'd have to think that the Mountain West would kind of roll out the welcome mat for them.
Yeah, and there's so many connections to that too. You talk about, you've got Montana State, our former offensive coordinator with Josh Allen, that was there with Josh Allen, worked with him. He's now the head coach at Montana State, Brent Vegan. You've got Tim Polasek, who was our offensive coordinator here at the University of Wyoming. He moved over to North Dakota State. Both of those teams faced off in the national championship last December, or I guess maybe it was January. But they faced off. I mean, the two top teams in the FCS in the entire country both have deep connections to the University of Wyoming. And not only that, the national championship head coach at North Dakota State was Craig Bull. I don't know how many championships he won. I know he just was in the North Dakota State Hall of Fame, but he came over to Wyoming, coached, and then fortunately I was able to be there his last year and cover him. What an honor that was to be able to be in press conferences with him and have him, be able to see what, his final year. And so there's such a connection to that FCS, especially North Dakota State. So I think the Mountain West Conference would be the perfect spot. There's a ton of money. I know I've got relatives in Fargo. They tell me about it. There's a ton of money, a ton of donors there. They've got a lot of they've got a lot of people there. I think they could make it work. It'd be interesting to see. I think in the future, I would not be surprised. I don't have any inside information or anything about that, but I think that maybe someday.
Yeah, I do too. I just kind of, because I've heard the rumors for the past couple of years about North Dakota State maybe being interested, because of the run that they've had in football. I mean, it just kind of makes sense. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they do decide to try to move up. Like I said, I would have to imagine the Mountain West would be at the front of the list trying to get them in their conference.
Yeah, and I'm certain. I'm sure that they've reached out to the Mountain West Conference. They're very tight-lipped about certain things that I've asked them, but they have to be for confidentiality reasons. Everything's got an NDA anymore, or you got to, yeah. So,
well, Jeff, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to sit down and talk some Wyoming football with you. Thank you for taking the time to do this, and you're welcome back anytime you want to come back. You just reach out to me or my co-host, and we'll make it happen. Follow him on X at Pokes_news. Go over to Facebook and follow him. Go over to the website and follow him. Get all the information on Wyoming football. We will be back next week. Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. We will see you next week, folks.